The convertible, or as the Germans like to call it, the Cabrio, is the sexiest car anyone can own.
While most of us hold a traditional view that the two-door coupe is the car that makes us look successful to the world around us, I think it's the Cabriolet that actually achieves that. The lack of a roof exudes a sense of carelessness that's typically reserved only for those that are recently retired. And owning one in your 20s, well, yeah.
It is essentially automotive peacocking at its finest. I'm not gonna lie, I'm here for it. That's because if you've bought a convertible, you're kind of saying, I don't need the practicality of an estate. I don't have enough responsibilities in my life to warrant an SUV, and I don't care about my extended friend group enough for a four-door comfy saloon. And all of that packaged up in a blissful optimism by buying a car with no roof in a country where it typically never stops raining. Before we get into the video, let me know in the comments what you think is the best looking 90s convertible that you can get out there. It'll be quite interesting to see what people think, and also if there'd be a couple of oddballs in there as well. The car that prompted me to make this video is of course the Audi 80 Cabriolet, belonged to my girlfriend Olwyn. For me, obviously at the time, an Audi 80 Cabriolet was the obvious choice. I love them, I love the look of them, and with me having the Coupe Quattro at the time, it kind of made sense. But in my opinion, the Audi 80 Cabriolet is also one of the best and most underrated convertibles you can actually get.
The Audi 80 Cabriolet was introduced in 1991, and it would be the first time that they'd make a car without a roof since the Auto Union era. Just like the Audi Coupe, the Audi Cabriolet would be based on the Audi 80 B3, however receiving some of the upgrades from the upcoming B4 chassis car. This would include the grille now being integrated into the bonnet just as they had on the Audi V8 and the Audi 100, which would become a staple of Audi's design up into the early 2000s. When the Audi Cabriolet was introduced, the idea was that it would have this allure to the younger professionals, and one person in particular would give that car more popularity than it would ever need. That's because in the early 90s, Lady Diana, Princess of Wales, was frequently seen driving Audi Cabriolets, something quite strange seeing as royals typically only stuck with British cars. It was a topic that caused a massive stir in the British tabloids. However, Audi would be there to reap the rewards. And with sales reported to have doubled because of this, Jeremy Clarkson at the time would say, she alone has turned what might have been just another nice car into by far and away the coolest and most sought after four-wheel status symbol of them all. And he wasn't wrong, with Audi producing over 70,000 Audi Cabriolets in the almost decade that the car existed from 1991 to the year 2000, which meant that it was only 1 year shy of actually outliving the Audi A4 B5 that went on to replace the Audi 80 B4 back in 1994. In the near future, I'm going to be doing an in-depth video as to how Lady Diana together with the Audi Cabriolet helped save Audi in the UK. So now is probably the best time to make sure that you're subscribed to Retrogage so that you don't miss the video when it's live.
And that leads us to this car, the Audi 80 Cabriolet Final Edition, which is from the last year of production of a really long lifespan. The Final Edition in my eyes is my favorite because it got a couple of tweaks that made this car look so much better than it initially was, including the ellipsoid headlights, which are the same headlights as the Audi RS2, as well as the fog and the indicators from the RS2 as well,
which were also shared with the 993 generation of Porsche 911.
Whereas the standard Cabriolet would have had the more squared off style of indicators and fog lights, the same as like my Coupe Quattro. Around the back, the Final Edition got a much more smoothed out bumper, which again, I actually prefer. And regardless of what version of Cabriolet it is, they all got this seamless heck blender across the back. With this specific car having a grey leather interior, with something really 90s that I like about it is the grey dash as well. Under the bonnet of these cars, they got quite a few variations of engines, including the 2.3 10-valve 5-cylinder, the 2.6 V6, as well as the 2.8 V6, and a set of 8-valve and 16-valve 2-litre inline fours. This car, however, has probably the most modern engine out of all of those. It's the 1.8 5 valves per cylinder, naturally aspirated, so basically a 1.8T without the T, which is kind of foreshadowing where we might end up going with this car at some point if Olwyn decides she wants a little bit more power, but I don't think we're going to do that just yet. I think we're actually just going to enjoy the car as it is. No matter what variation of engine it got under bonnet, all of these came as front-wheel drive. There have been a couple of lunatics who've decided to four-wheel drive and 20-valve 5-cylinder turbo swap these. Personally, that's way too much work, and also I don't know if I'd like to have that much power in a car that has no roof. I think it's time to hop in and take this car for a drive and see what it's like on the road. Interior wise, this car is a lovely place to be. It feels like quality. It feels like quality in the 90s. Whether you want to perceive that as quality nowadays, that's up to you. Obviously, with the Audi 80 Avant and also with the Audi Coupe Quattro, they all have pretty much the same dash. The Coupe Quattro has this in black, the Avant has this in grey as well. The Coupe Quattro has this as like a wood veneer as well. And all three of these cars have this here with the voltage gauge, oil pressure gauge, and also the oil temperature gauge. You know, you have nice, really simple tactile buttons. This is obviously an aftermarket radio. And then of course, very simple heating controls as well. I think one of the things that's kind of strange about this car is, just like other Audi 80s, this is how you control the headlights. My Coupe Quattro as well has another one of these stalks on this side, so that you have the hazard light there. This obviously has the more modern style of having the hazard light here in the middle. Where my Coupe Quattro would have a diff lock button, this has the button to put up all 4 windows at the same time. You of course get a little ashtray in the back for the, well, they're not exactly adults squeezing themselves back there. 5-speed manual gearbox. Then on the door we have a typical Audi 80 grab handle, and then we have 4 window switches, 2 for the back, which are going down as such, and then the 2 for the front electric mirrors as well. Now, while you wouldn't put anyone sitting in the back seat, this middle section does actually come out. For some reason, whoever spec'd this car knew, decided, okay, do you know what we're going to do? We're going to spec a convertible with the ski hatch, so that can become a pass-through, and it actually has this kind of like a bag, so whatever you pass through is not kind of rubbing off any of the interior parts. This is also strange because this is the first time I'm actually filming a review with nothing above me, no roof, but we're gonna roll with it and we're gonna see how we go. I've been wanting to do a proper video with this car for a long time, and now we're finally doing it. I obviously spend a lot of time driving old Audis from the 90s. You know, my Coupe Quattro, the S6. I haven't driven the Audi 80 Avant yet, and there's actually another car that's been added to the lineup that I'm going to be driving a lot, hopefully, fingers crossed, in the coming kind of months. And even though this is probably the least powerful, or definitely the least powerful of that lot, this is such a nice car to drive. That little 1.8 20 valve engine, it's strange. At times it has torque, at times it feels a little bit underpowered, but it never kind of lets you down. It's still a nice cruising engine. And I think with a car like this, you're having quite a lot of fun anyway by the fact that just the roof is off. I don't think you need to be pushing on hard. It's like after 4,000 RPM, it comes to life. What you can see as well is, because there's no roof, my hair gets thrown around quite a bit. You can apparently get this kind of thing that goes across the back seats that stops a lot of that turbulence of the air, and that's apparently makes things a lot better. What I will say is, me and Olwyn being in the car, Olwyn's a little bit shorter than me. She doesn't feel as much of the wind going over her because she's a bit shorter. Aside from that, this is a lovely little car to drive. It feels old school, but it feels modern at the same time. And it also feels really light. It's one thing I couldn't get over anytime I drive this, is how light it feels. All of the weight is only over the front wheels. There's nothing in the back, which is strange for me because I'm used to driving Audis that have the engine so far forward, but it's usually balanced out by, you know, having diffs, having prop shafts, you know, having quattro, whereas this feels really light in the rear. Obviously there's no hard roof over you either. It's a surprisingly nice car to drive. It's actually pretty agile as well, especially if you got the hard top during the winter. I think you could daily something like this all year round. I could see myself dailying this at the moment because it's a nice car, it's a pleasant car. Because it has the later or the early Audi B5 engine, so the A4 B5 engine rather than an Audi 80 engine, it makes it quite a reliable prospect as well, and I never feel like there's going to be a point where this doesn't start. You know, some of the 2-litre, the 8 valve and the 16 valve do have their issues, hence why my Audi 80 Avant is parked up, but this I don't feel like it has, or has the potential to have as many of those issues. But the reason you're really driving a convertible is obviously for the enjoyment, to make memories, and obviously myself and Olwyn have made quite a lot of memories in this car already. We've gone on a couple of really nice drives, and it's something kind of mad to be able to say that, like, in our late 20s we're just going for a spin in our convertible. You know, these cars can be got for pretty good value at the moment still, and you're essentially buying a car that, like, you know, 25, 30 years ago, people, yeah, that's not a great place to stop. Go! People are idiots. People are idiots. These can be pretty good value, and you're essentially buying a car that 25, 30 years ago, you know, when these cars were new in the 90s, for a lot of people, they were either a car they bought themselves for retirement, someone who was doing really well as maybe like a second or third car just for the Sundays, or someone who used this or bought this as their complete only car. And because of that, you're getting quite an interesting experience. I think if we're talking about this like general aesthetic that's going around of old money, I think something like an Audi 80 Cabriolet is peak old money, because just like an E36 convertible, just like an SL 500 or 500 SL, Saab 900 Turbo, you know, these were like, to own one and to have it as a roofless car, especially in the UK or Ireland, was quite a luxury that not a lot of people or most couldn't afford. So now we're getting this ownership experience for an absolute fraction of that cost. Olwyn has this car nicknamed Diana, obviously because Princess Diana had a couple, I think she had 2 or 3 of these. If it's a car that was fit for a royal, I'm sure it's fit for the rest of us too. And even though this is far from being the most powerful car I own, it is honestly one of my favorites to drive. And I never thought I'd say that about a convertible. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to like, share and subscribe. Share it with at least one of your friends who you think might enjoy this video. And also please don't follow or subscribe to Retro Garage if you don't like old school and classic cars like this. And there's going to be many more videos on cars like this. I'm going to start off doing all the videos of like my own cars as well as other people's cars as well. So this is a new era for Retro Garage, and I hope you enjoy this format, and we'll talk to you as always in the next video, because I'm going to put the roof up now because it's a bit cold. We'll talk to you as always in the next video. Cheers, take care, bye bye. This is just bliss. It's cold, but it's bliss.